Shalom. 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 Shabbat Shalom. Peace and blessings to all those that may get edified by this video that may tune in. May the Most High use me as a vessel, right? First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who sent his son as an instrument of salvation for the nation of Israel. Right? Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered in every country, every city, every state, every province, right? Uh, every kingdom on this earth. Shalom to them, man. We made it to another Sabbath day. Um, you know, it can be hard in this captivity with all these different spirits, all these different trials and tribulations. And, everyday life happens, man, and problems arise, but we all stay in the faith, right? So all praises for that, man. Getting into this lesson, I'm not gonna. The brother Denal started a 3-part series. I don't think I'll put this in the 3-part series. We may put it in the 3-part series later. I don't know. We might change the title and edit it and put part 2 or part 3 because it kind of goes along with his part series. Now, this lesson, right, is going to be from a sister hit me up in my DM and asked me a question. Matter of fact, let me go to the question. Right, I thought we could talk about it. It kind of goes along with becoming a wife. It's just the mindset that you want to be in, right? Sister, she asked this question, and I thought we could go over it in some of the in the way that I answered her, right? Where is the question at? All right, so she says this. Can I ask you something in regards to the men are to provide sentiment? How come some men claim that now that it's 2024, they are not to hold the whole weight and can indeed go 50-50? I'll read that again. How come some men claim that now that it's 2024, they are not to hold the whole weight and can indeed go 50-50, right? In regards to men are to provide sentiment, right? So we're going to tackle that according to the Bible, right? Salakia. I got to go to my notes. Salakia, bear with me. All right. So just thinking about it, right? The sister asked the question, why do men feel like in 2024 that they can go 50-50 and don't have to hold the whole weight, right? So we're going to address, do men have to hold the whole weight in a marriage? Then we're also going to address why do men think the way they think in 2024, right? Simply said, in 2024, the woman, especially the black woman, has become dominant, right, over the man. So if a man sees a dominant woman, in his mind, he says, why not, right? Women nowadays, they pride themselves on making just as much money as us, if not more. They pride themselves in not needing a man. They pride themselves in being the prize, right? So to men in 2024, I'm not speaking for men in the truth, but for men in 2024, right? They have come to the mindset of it's 50-50, right? We're co-equals, we're partners, right? Women have been laboring, uh, you know, for decades now, trying to be equal in this world with men. Let's make it equal, and let's have you guys, you know, go half on a baby, go half on a house, go half on the rent, go half on everything, right? 50-50. That's why men think that way, right? Is that the right way to think? No, it's not, right? And you know, this people go back and forth on podcasts, and you know, you hear the women's side and the men's side, but that's, you know, that's what it boils down to. And you know, men are getting the short end of the stick when it comes to this economy, um, and finding jobs, finding careers, finding ways to make money. Because these jobs don't love you out here, right? Many of us have experienced layoffs and firings and terminations, and right, they don't care that you got a family, right? It's up to that man to, you know, get his affairs in order, right? And so he won't be worse than an infidel. But okay, so now let's tackle this scripturally, right? The first thing I got pulled for us today is this, right? Tobit 2 and 9. I'm gonna change the view format because I like it down. Anyway, Tobit 2 and 9. Let's see Tobit's situation, right? If you read the book of Tobit, you know that Tobit came down with an ailment, right? And his wife had to step up. So let's read about it, right? So also, this is titled "Expectations in a Marriage." Now, a lot of times the woman, right, and the woman might expect the man to cover or to handle certain parts of the marriage. Now, that's not to say that that man has to do that, but you know, some expectations might be put on a man, just like some expectations might be put on a woman, right? But my stance, and I'll close with this at the end, but my stance is, you know, it's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? But let's get into it, right? So you shouldn't be trying to put expectations on your spouse, or the person you're courting, right? Tackle stuff as they come. All right. So Tobit 2 and 9. The same night also I returned from the burial and slept by the wall of my courtyard, being polluted, and my face was uncovered. Right. So he's sleeping by this wall that it's got trash piled up. It's, you know, not the prettiest thing. Right. It says, and I knew not that there were sparrows in the wall, and mine eyes being open. You know, some people, you know, sleep with their eyes open. Right. Don't know if he was sleeping with his eyes open or if he was just daydreaming, but his eyes were open. Right. It says, being open, the sparrows muted warm dung into my eyes, right? And if you know anything about sparrows and crows and vultures, they will actually uh, project, um, well, let's read it, project dung or certain acids out of their mouth and, you know, other places, right? And they'll target the eyes of people, right? If you get too close, that's a defense mechanism that that animal has, if you didn't know, right? And very dangerous. It'll eat your flesh if it gets on your arms, right? Warm dung into my eyes, and a whiteness came in my eyes, and I went to the physicians, but they helped me not. Moreover, Achaicurus did nourish me until I went into Elimaeus. Elimaeus. Shalom.
Shalom.
Con. Dang, I was about to buy a camo hat just like that, but it was Costa. Man, like literally yesterday, but I told myself, no, I need to save money. But shalom to the brother. Tobit chapter 2 and verse 11. And my wife Anna did take women's work to do, right? So women, there is work for you guys to do, right? You shouldn't expect to go into a marriage and not have to work. Now, some situations, right? If you get the right man, you might not have to work, but you shouldn't expect to not have to work, right? The sister that asked me the question in my DM, right? She asked, why do men feel like they need to go 50-50 nowadays? Because she believes they should be handling the whole weight of marriage. she says that is what a provider does. So what I'm saying is you shouldn't expect that, because um, it says here that Anna took woman's work to do. For what? What was the woman's work to do? It says, and when she had sent them home to the owners, they paid her wages. Right. So she got up off her butt and she saw that her husband was down. And what she do? She started providing the financial parts of keeping the house. Right. Now, keeping the house, right, is a woman's job to do. Now, if your man can pay those bills, by all means, let him pay it, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but you shouldn't expect him off rip to just 100% all the bills if you have the means to help him out, right? If Anna had the expectations in her mind of some of the women in 2024 that a man should carry the whole weight, when her man went blind, she wouldn't have known what to do. She might have left him. She might have been in depression, or she might have made the situation worse. But Noah says she took women's work to do and she got paid wages, right? Just wanted to make note of that real quick. So when you come into a marriage, right, put the expectations down and just live life, right? The Bible says that women are a help meet, right? You're a helpmate, meaning what? Whatever that man is lacking, you helping him, right? If he's lacking financially, you finding a way to help him financially. If he's lacking spiritually, you finding a way to pray and help him spiritually. If he's lacking um in decision making, you finding a way to help counsel him um uh, in the house, right? And give him sound advice, right? Your job as a helpmeet is to work. You know what I'm saying? The woman was not put on the earth to be adored. She wasn't put on the earth to be catered to. The woman was actually the opposite. She was put on this earth for man, created out of man, right? And to help man, right? She was there to help please man because man was alone. It wasn't good for man to be alone. She was there to help the man be a helpmeet. And like the brother Denal said, she was there to be a pillar of rest. When you see these things in the scriptures, pillar of rest, help me, things of that nature, right? Think about a pillar. A pillar looks like it's not doing nothing. Sometimes women, you may feel like you don't get the credit you deserve. You feel like nobody notices. You look at a big pillar on a building, everybody just walks past it, not knowing how many tons of weight that pillar is holding up and making it look effortless. And that's what you guys are tasked with doing. So women, right, have a vital role in this truth and in relationships because you have the total weight of the role. Now, uh if
And a
the
lot of
man
times, man, it's a like you, but a lot of times, like the brother was saying, man, you drive by a beautiful building, man. You see those pillars, man, and they got engravings on them. They're all done up. They look nice and fancy and whatnot, right? They always look good. But no matter what, whenever you see a pillar, it always has something what resting on top of it, right? That ceiling, I mean, that roof is always resting on top of it. And sometimes that roof doesn't look always too good, right? So, sometimes your husband might not be in the best shape, just life wise, right? He might be going through some things. You might think he's lazy, right? You might, think he's rough around the edges, right? When we look at roofs, but nonetheless, right? You were made for him to rest on top of you, right? And so, just like the brother was saying, man, you guys are tasked with something that's um, very commendable at the least, right? But it's kind of like fasting. It's kind of like praying. You're not supposed to let nobody know your right from your left hand, man. Same thing as being a pillar of rest. And I talked about this with a brother not too long ago. Um, when you're doing what's asked of you, when you're doing your role, you're fulfilling your role, you're doing it well, just like when you're fasting and you don't make it look like you're fasting, right? Like the scriptures say, You don't have a long face. You don't look like you're hungry. When you're giving charity, you don't go out and telling everybody you giving charity, right? When you're doing your role and you're not complaining about it to other people, you're not complaining about it to your husband. A lot of the times your husband will step in and help you out, right? We're not heartless, you know. Um, we, I mean, you know, it's kind of like what's that movie, Coach Carter, right? When Timo Cruz got kicked off the team, he wanted to come back, right? He was doing what was required of him to come back, right? The other players weren't heartless. They see that he was trying his best, even though he was failing, right? And they stepped in and they helped him out. Same thing with your husband. We was talking about this the other day. If you do what you're supposed to do without complaints, a lot of times your husband will step in and help you out without you having to ask, right? He just wants to know that you're taking on your role pridefully and that you're doing your best, right? And me just giving a personal example like I did yesterday, there's been plenty of times where, you know, I seen my wife, you know, doing what she's supposed to be doing without complaining, right? And I seen, you know, maybe the dishes were piling up, or that we had a few dishes in the sink when she was away from home, or, you know, even when I used to stay home and work from home, I used to help fold clothes. I used to help do the dishes, right? When I can see her diligently doing the things that she's supposed to be doing, right? It comes into play when a man doesn't want to help you is when you always complain about doing what's in your role. It's not in his role, right? He doesn't complain about the stuff that he's required to do, right? And I don't really see too many women going out there cutting the grass, taking out the trash. I don't see too many women out there risking their life for the family. I don't see too many women doing that stuff, right? He doesn't complain, right? All he wants to do is see you have an effort of doing within your role and without complaint. Pecan.
Come on, man. So another example. Let's go to Proverbs 31:16. It says, "She considereth the field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard." Right. So to the sister's question that asked me the question, and for the brother, um, I'll read the question again so you're caught up to speed. I didn't make this a part in the three-part series. I said at the beginning we may go back and edit the title and make it a part if you feel like it. But right now it's just a separate video. But the sister said, how come some men claim that now that it's 2024, they are not to hold the whole weight and can indeed go 50-50? So, uh, you know, gearing this lesson towards expectations, right? And not having those expectations that the world may put on a gender, right? Whether that expectation is that the man should have the whole weight, right? And, you know, take care of everything, and be a big macho man according to the world, or that, you know, because women are becoming more independent and, you know, they should go 50-50 where co-equals. No, we're going to just kind of take this as teamwork makes the dream work. And we're going to go through these scriptures just to prove that not only men were tasked with work, and not only men were tasked with financial burdens, right, to help the house out, right? It says, she considereth the field and buyeth it. So a lot of y'all, a lot of women, right? Because the world has taught you that a man, you should supposed to move in with the man and he's already supposed to have a house and he's supposed to be paying the bills and the mortgage and X, Y, and Z. You know, the Bible teaches that the woman is supposed to look for land and buy that land, and then y'all put up a house. You know, the men be carpenters and things of that nature and put up the house, right? But a woman buys a field. How does she buy a field? Right? With her money, right? That's why I like this version. In the NLT, it says she goes to inspect the field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard, right? Meaning she works, right? She pays bills. A lot of women too don't mind working, but they want to keep the money to themselves, right? You're, as a task for a woman in this truth, you're tasked with keeping the house. And if that entitles you looking for a place to stay for your family because your husband's working or your husband's busy or your husband is not very good at, you know, finding houses and things that you might like to live in, right? Or ideal, guess what? That's your job.
Hey man, that's a mighty point, man. You know, and I'm glad you brought this out because it's going well with this video. I actually was gonna do a whole lesson on Proverbs 31, right? Just to do some comparisons, but that is a mighty point, right? Um, you know, what I find funny is that a lot of women that are out there actually do this thing, right? But the problem is they don't tell other women that they do it, right? And so other women have it in their mind that it's the man's job, not understanding that the many successful relationships that's out there, there's actually women out there that's doing this Proverbs 31 and 16, right? Just like the brother said, a lot of men got a lot going on, right? Between their stressful days and stuff like that. We know y'all's days are stressful too, but it's another thing for a man to try to go find a house that's up to the woman's liking, because let's be honest, man, the woman's always going to have something to say about the houses that you pick. So you might as well pick it yourself, right? Make sure it's in a good area, a good something that's suitable for you, and it takes the load off of your husband, right?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of this comes from, like the brother said, expectations. They come from social media or media in general. You listen to these podcasts, you see people that are famous and how they're living and things that it may look like, but you don't see what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know if that couple that you're admiring works as a team or not. You don't see if that woman, right, that's recording, right, and making her family um give her family fame through social media. You don't see that she's doing a lot of work, right? She highlights her husband in her videos and makes her husband seem like he's a manly man, but we don't, like the brother said, we don't know what she might be
Right.
doing behind closed doors.
And a lot of times, man, they don't say anything to other women because they don't want y'all to make fun of them. Oh, girl, why he got you doing that X, Y, and Z? When the girl is out, when the woman's out there doing all she can to keep her man and to make sure her family is happy, you know what I'm saying? And then you guys get a false sense of this stuff because you see the man at the closing table shaking the hands with the person, even though he had nothing to do with the process. I really had about two examples real quick. I got one pulled up right here. I really, me, I really don't like name dropping, right? I don't like being a fangirl, but this is Renard Moody off of 247 Hunt, right? It's a black hunting group, right? I want to read this caption right here. Let me see. For this picture, right? When they just bought their house. I'm gonna read this caption. It says, upgrade, ... Right? Now he celebrates Christmas. He says, Merry Christmas to us. He says, thanks to my lovely wife for handling all this work by herself while I've been gone hunting. You are the real MVP, right? But do you think she posted something? Do you think she went on her page and she said, man, I handled this all by myself. It was so stressful, X, Y, and Z. No, man, right? I bring this out to say, one, right? There's couples out there, there's successful couples and successful relationships out there, right? That are thriving only and not thriving just being a couple, but thriving individually, right? That they're out there, and this is going on. What the brother was bringing out. She went, found a house, did all the what was required for it, and she bought it. Right. Matter of fact, three examples for me personally. Right. My wife did the same thing. Right. When I was out there, and I was I think what was I doing at the time, man? The last couple jobs I've been doing was pretty laborious. Right. And I think I was still probably in the guts. This is before we even moved together. Right. I was getting up and going, working 5 10s really. And, throughout that whole process, my wife, and it's crazy, man, because I couldn't have my phone at work because I was working on a nuclear site. And people would ask me questions, how's the house hunting going? How's the paperwork going, all that stuff. And I'd be at work, and I work with older gentlemen. And I was just telling them, man, like, I really don't know. I might call my wife on break to see, right? Because she handled everything. She went out and she did all the paperwork, talked to the realtor. She sent me houses that you know that she thought were to my liking. We talked about it, man. There's so much stuff that she handled in that process. Honestly, right? If I had to do it all over again by myself, I'd be lost, right? Because I really don't know what was going on in that process because she handled it all, right? And a lot of times I gotta remind my wife, if I'm being honest, that hey, look, don't take that on cheerfully. Take that on something as something that you were supposed to do, right? I'm not saying men can't go out there and find their family a house and build a house and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, when you see stuff like this in the scriptures, right, don't be afraid to embody those things as well, right? Matter of fact, when you finally do it and you accomplish it, feel good about yourself, right? Be like, man, I'm a real Proverbs 31 woman out here, right? My husband's heart does trust in me, right? Not that I'm gonna cheat on him, but he trusts that I'm gonna get stuff done and I'm gonna be a pillar of rest for him, right? There's another example. I'm not gonna bring it up. I wanted to, but I'm just gonna touch on it briefly. I seen another podcast. It was a white gentleman. He was in the MLB, right? But before he got to the MLB, he was on the journey to get to the MLB. If you know anybody that's on a sports journey trying to get to the league, it's not a fun journey, right? A lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, not a lot of bills being paid, right? But he shared that before he got to the MLB, he chose to retire when he did, so he could be around his wife and his kids and to go on trips with them, because he reflected on the fact that his wife was super supportive of him getting to the league, to the part where she handled the mortgage for years. He said, right? She handled the mortgage for years, right? She probably ain't even complained, right? And like yesterday when I said, man, when a woman does X, Y, and Z, it'll make a brother double back. Same thing in a marriage, right? When you do X, Y, and Z without complaining, it'll make a brother double back. Just like this white gentleman that had a reflection and ended his baseball career early, right? It's something about a shamefaced woman that doesn't mind getting her hands dirty, right, and not complaining about it, that makes a man want to look out for her. It makes a man want to help her do her role, right? That is the key here in marriage. The key is for you to do your role without complaining, and for the husband to do his role without complaining, right? If that happens, I promise you, both of you guys will have more compassion towards each other. But sorry about being long-winded.
Right, and the sister that DM'd me, she said that she was really emphasizing that a man should be a provider, and if he's not, then you shouldn't be with him, and X, Y, and Z. And I told her, I said, well, you're thinking about the workload all wrong. I told her, I said, you're thinking about providing all wrong. Nowhere does it say that a man's supposed to provide financially. I said a man can provide financially, but so can a woman can also provide financially too. I said, especially in the world of 2024, when it's easier for a woman to get a career and things of that nature, if she can help out the house, why wouldn't she? All because of pride, all because of expectation. No, you gotta be a team and you gotta get in where it fits in, right? Everybody's situation is gonna be different, right? But much like all these other nations, you see these women from other nations making TikToks and videos, and these women are doing DIYs and they got hammers and drills in their hand and they're doing arts and crafts type stuff, right? Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, like the brother said too. It says she planted the vineyard. Planting a vineyard is not is not an easy task. You gotta, when you plant a good vineyard, you're gonna have to put some fences up for the vines to grow on. You're gonna have to do some planting and some digging and some use tools. That's why, every now and then my wife, she might get, I pride myself in being a man and building the majority of things. But if it's something I think that she can do, she might get a little irritated that I might make her use a drill. She might get a little irritated. I might make her read some directions to put something together, because my thing is, what if I'm not here, right? And that's what a lot of women got to think too. When you put in expectations on a role, you gotta be prudent and think about bad things as well as good things, and know that, what if he's not here? Will I be able to do this? Would I be able to function? Right. And same thing with men. If your wife wasn't here, would you be able to take care of the kids? Would you be able to have a routine? Would you be able to do those things? Right. Because like I said, expectations, man, that's put on us by social media. But the scriptures that we're reading, right, they give us the reality, right? So verse 17 in Proverbs 31, it says, she girdeth her loins with strength and strengthening her arms. So you can't be a weak woman. You can't be somebody that's just catered to all the time, right? As a Proverbs 31 woman, you got to gird your loins. We know we read a lot of scriptures about men gird your loins like a man, but right here it's telling a woman to gird her loins. Yes, you're going to get irritated. Yes, you're going to get frustrated. Yes, you're going to get tired. That's when you tell yourself, what more can I do? Let me gird my loins. Let me strengthen my arms. How are you going to do that? Through Christ. I can do all things through Christ, right? If you pray, Christ will put you in a better mood, and he'll make it seem like your tasks are easy. Salaki, go ahead.
No, that's right, man. Right, you can do all things through Christ, right? But you gotta think, man. Back in the day, man, when they used to go and they used to fetch water, and some people still do it in Africa today, man. They fetching water. They got this big basin of water on top of their head with
water can get heavy too. I ain't gonna lie.
With 3 kids hanging off their bodies, bro. Right? You wonder why them women always look so in shape. You know what I'm saying? They weren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Like the brother brought up gardening, right? Planting vineyards, bro. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty, literally, man. You see these old women outside, man. They get into it, man. They on their knees. Not only that, they handling manure, right? I hope you guys are of age to know what manure is, because it's not nothing too pretty, not nothing too clean. It doesn't smell too good, right? But you got to also reflect on those scriptures that say husbandry is ordained and despise not laborious work, right? Those scriptures aren't just for the men. Those scriptures are for the women too. There's plenty of women in the Bible that were doing shepherd's work, right? That were keeping the sheep, that were going to the well and stuff like that, right? There's plenty of women that did that, especially a lot of the widows, right? When you read about Judith, she did everything for herself, right? She didn't feel sorry for herself. She didn't need a man. She actually turned down every man that came her way, right? Because she had it on lock. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid to be a woman that can that can do things by herself without a man, right? Nothing saying now if you got a man, right? Sometimes it is expedient for him to step in so you don't hurt yourself. But if it's something as simple as painting a wall, right? You don't need a man for that. You know what I'm saying? It's certain stuff, man, that you got to gird up your loins, man, and you got to kind of do. If your husband away from the house all the time, or if he's always at work, if he's always tired, and you want him to paint this accent wall for you, right? And you're always home. Ain't nothing stopping you from getting that paintbrush out, you know what I'm saying, and getting it done. But
Proverbs 31:18, it says, she perceiveth that her merchandise is good, her candle goeth not out by night. Meaning, amen, she's always vigilant. She's always looking. That candle is a light. She's always looking for something that she can do to help improve her husband and her house, right? It doesn't go out at night, right? A lot of y'all want rest at nighttime. A lot of y'all want rest during some of your day, but your candle's not supposed to go out by night. Now, if you do get rest, all praises. If a man does give you rest, all praises, but you shouldn't expect, right? This video is over expectations. You shouldn't expect, right? Cotton candy and ice cream. You shouldn't expect to be catered to 24/7. Matter of fact, it seems unfair because it is, right? A man can expect to be catered to, right? Now we're gonna go over I got some precepts here for the men too, but a man can expect to be catered to, and that's supported by the scriptures because he has a helpmeet. But a woman, should she expect to be catered to in a marriage? Right? What precepts or scriptures come to mind that lets you think that a woman should be catered to in regards to the question of a man should carry the whole weight, right? That the man shouldn't carry the whole weight because it's not just his family, it's the wife's family as well, right?
If I may too, man, since we driving into Proverbs 31 here, man, You know, might not even do the Proverbs 31 series just because this is really good stuff in this video anyway. But Proverbs 31 and 18, right? She perceives that her merchandise is good, her candle goeth out not out by night. This is one of my favorite precepts, right? When you imagine this precept, man, imagine back in the day, right? And all those old movies that you watch, whenever they lay down, man, they had a candle bedside. And when they turn over, they blow that candle out. It's they're done for the day. They're going to sleep. It says her candle does not go out in the nighttime, right? Why? Because when everybody sleep, she's getting ready for the next day. She's trying to get ahead, right? She's always doing something. And this is one of those scriptures where you don't take literal. You're not saying don't get no sleep at all, right? But to know that your sleep is going to be limited, right? Your sleep is going to be limited as a mother, as a wife. You know what I'm saying? Again, I put this on my Instagram and I said, hey, look, we're doing this series and we're talking about some good stuff. Are you really ready to become a wife? Or do you just want to, take pictures, right? And complain about having to take care of your kids and complain about having to fold clothes and do the dishes. Are you really ready to become a wife? Because if you're really ready to become a wife, that's when the hard work starts. That's what I said, right? That's when the hard work starts, bro. You're gonna be working harder than you did when you lived with your parents and you had to do chores, right? Your
Right
candle.
on. Like we went over yesterday, when we look at Rebecca, right? When you read that chapter, she was groomed. She had aunts and sisters and women in the house that groomed her. Even in the eastern side of the world, they still do it to this day. Women are grooming other women for when they get married, so that they know what to do when they get married, right? Also, we seen that she was, like the brother said, going to the well, right?
Early in the morning too. Watch this, right? When we read Ruth, it said that she showed up to the field early in the morning and she's yet here this evening, right? I just want to point out one thing. Women, as a wife, bro, and you keep reading Proverbs 31, it's gonna say she rises up early before anybody else and she goes to sleep after everybody, right? She's putting in overtime. You know what I'm saying? You know how Kobe was the first one in the gym and the last one out? She's the Kobe of the house.
Think about those old timey movies, right? Who's the first one up that's cooking breakfast, and you come downstairs, who's already down there? Mom. Think about who's tucking people in good night, all the kids in good night and kissing them good night, right? And when she gets to her bed, she's the last one in her bed because her husband's already in there, right? Your light goeth not out, right? Because guess what? You are that. Everybody knows this word, mitochondria, right? The powerhouse cell, right? I seen a meme the other day that everybody don't know some of the stuff that we need to know to make it in this society, but we know what the mitochondria is, right? And hey, guess what? That's what the woman is. In our cell of a family, the woman is a mitochondria. Without the woman, it's inoperable, right?
It's a great comparison of how a woman and a man should operate. And this is kind of traditional, right? This is kind of how it was back in the day. But just take, for instance, of the moving process, right? Now, the man is supposed to carry, the heavy stuff, supposed to take it and put it in the truck, move it out the house and move it into the house, right? From the outside looking in, it looks like the man has the most strenuous job, right? Some men get witty and they bring out their dollies and their hand trucks, to help their load a little bit. But nonetheless, right, behind the scenes, what people can't see, they see the men going in and out the house, bringing out the heavy stuff and all the boxes and whatnot. But what people can't see is the woman inside that's packing the boxes, the woman that's sweeping and cleaning the house inside of the house to get ready to go to the new house. And then when she gets to the new house, right, she's sweeping and she's cleaning the new house before the stuff gets there, right? The stuff that people can't see. Again, the shame faces that comes with a woman and the hard work that comes with a woman, even though sometimes the man gets the credit, right? Because you got to understand, to be his helpmeet, right? You're supposed to be making him look good. In Proverbs 31, it says that when he goes out amongst his peers, right, they praise him for his wife, right? You know what I'm saying? His wife makes him look so good that they're praising, man, I wish I had a wife like you, man. They might not say it out loud. They might not say it to her face, right? But it's happening. And we see that even today. Oh, when I go to work and I pull out my lunch, and man, I wish I had a wife. I need to go ahead and wife my girl. I come in here, I gotta go to Wendy's every night, right? These are stuff that takes place when you do your role. It comes with shamefacedness. There's a comedian named or I don't know what he is, social media person. I think his name is Wally or Wallow or something like that. He was talking about his wife. He was like, man, I think my wife is one of the beautiful persons on the planet. And that's just not me saying, that's other people saying it. She had plenty of modeling gigs. She turned them down. She said she didn't want that attention, right? When I was going for my career, she could have been right there alongside of me. She probably would have blew up before me, right? She's charismatic and she's funny, but she said, nah, I want to help you do you, right? Shamefacedness, not in the front, not in the camera, right? Even though some people might look at her and be like, dang, she should be in the front, right? That what comes with being shamefaced and hardworking. Pecan.
Titus 2:5, it says to be discreet, right? That discreet would be like the brother said, doing things behind closed doors, keeping integrity, not letting everybody know what you do, right? Chaste, right? Keepers at home, right? You got to keep the house up, man. You got to keep the home. Without you, there's no home. Good. You got to be good at what you do, right? Don't just do the bare minimum when you clean. Don't do the bare minimum, right? When it comes to particulars at the grocery store, I'll come back. I feel too lazy to put all that in the car today. No, you got to be good at what you do. It says obedient to their own husbands. So that's what you should expect in a marriage, is to be obedient to your husband. Meaning, right? And like I said, I got some scriptures for the men. Don't worry, women. But meaning, if your husband says, I'll pay all the bills, I just need you to watch the kids, that's your expectation. If your husband says, hey, I need you to help me pay some of these bills, that's your expectation. Your expectation is based off of your obedience to your husband, not off what the world has to say, not off of what your girlfriends say, not off of what you see on movies, right? Your expectations come from obedience to your husband, right? And that's plain, right? That way you don't have to let yourself down. You don't have to get down and say, man, I wish my husband was like XYZ. When you get married, your obedience is to your husband. And
Right,
this is why, right? In the book of Genesis, this is why. 3:16.
Yeah, man. When when you enter into a marriage, when you're courting someone, right? Have like the brother said, don't have that expectation of, oh yeah, I'm finally getting a man. He's gonna pay for all my bills and all this, that, and the third, right? In the back of your mind. In the back of your mind, you should be going into it like, okay, what does he want me to cover? How does he want me to help pay the bills? Does he want to do 50-50? Does he want me to just pay for the utilities? Go into it with that attitude and not a high expectation. Because a lot of times when you get with these men early on, especially young men, they don't have it all together. They don't have a job that can support you and the kids that you're about to have. A lot of times that's the case. They don't, right? It takes some time. And so go into it with that mindset. And so the days that come where he decides that he is going to take over everything, right? You'll be that much more joyous.
Genesis 3:16, it says, unto the women he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow. So a lot of women are looking to have a good time here on earth, right? You're supposed to have sorrow because of Eve, right? And it's because it's prophecy. The Most High said he was going to put sorrow on you. That's why when you read about Anna, she got falsely accused by her husband Tobit of stealing a kid goat. That's why when you read about Hannah, right, she was having a hard time, right, when she wanted to give birth, right? That's why you read about all these women in the Bible that are having hard times on earth, that are barren, that are getting made fun of, that are having jealousy problems. You know why? Because the Most High God said he's going to multiply your sorrows, right, and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Or in other words, he shall lord over thee. So that's your expectation. Your expectation is that when I get married, I'm going to have a ruler. I'm going to have a lord over my life that tells me what he likes, tells me what he doesn't like, and tells me how I can help. Your expectation should not be romance. It should not be, oh, he's going to pay all the bills. It shouldn't be living out your mom's dreams because your mom wished she found a man that was like this, so your mom made sure that you found a man that was like this so she can live through you. No, your expectation should be that a man is going to rule over me.
Right, man.
Lord, right?
Right. Like when you get into a relationship, your expectation is and I told my wife this too, but your expectation is you're coming in to an assistant coach position, right? There's already a head coach. You're coming in trying to be the assistant coach, right? There's a parable in the Bible. Well, not a parable, but if you read about the centurion that Christ blessed, right? He goes on to say, man, I'm a centurion. I'm Lord over soldiers. And whatever I tell them, they do. Whatever I ask of them, when I say go there, they go. When I say do this, they do it. Right. When I say receive me or come here, right, they come. How much more how much more are you Lord over my life? So if you say, thou servant be healed, who am I to question you? Same thing within your marriage, right? When you're, and people bring this up all the time, when your boss says, hey, do this, we have a meeting today at 12, you're not late. Right? When your boss says when your boss tells you to do anything, you try your best to do it, and you try to do it without complaining, right? Because if you complain, your job most likely is going to be in jeopardy after a while, right? You show up every work on time. All right, you don't be tardy. Same thing with being a wife, man. That means every morning you show up to work on time, right? You're making food for the family. You're making sure everybody's fed, right? That's your job. You're showing up to work on time, right? You making sure you work them overtime hours, man. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that overtime hours isn't for your family's benefit, right? But it's to make you feel alive, right? When you working that job and you working on overtime hours and you getting them hours and you finally see that check, man, makes you happy. Same thing here, man. When you work some overtime hours for your family, it should make you happy, right? You should get a sense of fulfillment. Damn, I'm a hard worker, man. It's really paying off. You know what I'm saying? But definitely, man, have that type of attitude when you go into
it. Exodus 21:10 says, if he take him another wife, right, and this applies to the first wife too, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish. So a man should provide a few things financially. He should make sure that you have food. He should make sure that you have modest clothing, right? And he should make sure he's giving you babies, right? His duty of marriage, right? So you can expect those things, right? Don't expect to go into a marriage and the man won't even clothe you or make sure that you're not hungry. It's a lot to you. Or make sure that you're not hungry, right? So men, yes, we have to provide those things. Those are expectations that we do have to fulfill.
The minimum.
And right? The men, hate the fact that my money's going to Sephora and Ulta, my money's going to Abercrombie and Fitch and Shein, and my money's going to American Eagle. Brother, hey, you signed up to have a wife. What you think was coming with it, right? All she wants to do is go out to eat all the time. All she wants to do is keep asking me for money to go to the grocery store so she can cook all these different meals. Brother, give her the money.
You got to think, bro. When y'all get married, she's stepping away from her parents. You're stepping away from your parents. You become her father figure, right? Although she probably, when she was living with her father, right, she was probably doing chores. She was getting busy, right, doing the work. But her father still provided her with food, raiment, and things of that nature, right? Not the duty of marriage, of course, but food and raiment, make sure she was okay. I want to point out, man, like the brother said earlier, a lot of times, man, people get it twisted and think that it's a man's job to, pay all the bills and buy the house and stuff like that. And there's some people out there that say, man, you shouldn't get a wife if you can't if you can't put a roof over her house. I mean, a roof over her head, X, Y, and Z. All that stuff might be expedient advice. But one thing I will say, you're not gonna find that in the scripture. You're not gonna speaking on polygyny. You're not gonna find it in the scriptures where it says, "Oh, you can't get a second wife because the first one needs her own house and the second one needs her own house." Right? You're just not gonna find it. Right? They might need two separate rooms, but you're not gonna find that. Not to get away from the message, right? And make this about polygyny or anything like that. But I'm just pointing out that the three things that are really required of them is, food, raiment, and her duty of marriage. Of course, when you start reading the scriptures, man, we start seeing how a man is supposed to do some other things, man, like have something to pass down to his grandkids and stuff like that. So he doesn't look like an infidel. He is supposed to be there, provide spiritual, guidance and stuff like that as well. But let's not put too much on the man, right? From this westernized mindset, and then think that he's not a righteous man because he doesn't check off the boxes of the world we live in today.
So Ephesians 5:25 says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So that's another thing you can expect for your husband, women, is that he will genuinely love you and he will treat you like Christ treated the church, meaning he'll teach you, right? He'll give you some wisdom of some things that he's been through. He'll be prudent, right, in matters and prophesy things to come for your family, right? He'll also be ready to give his life for his family, right? These things you can expect out of a husband, right? Notice it doesn't say anything about money or paying bills, right? I also told the sister that we live in different times now to where we have a car note and electricity bill and grocery bill, and we didn't have all those things back in the days of old or antiquity. So things have changed now in 2024. When you talk about who's going to carry the whole weight, we didn't have bills like that to pay. We might have had some property tax and some things like that, but other than that, man, we didn't have the bills that we have today. So it's a different time that we're living in, and you can't just expect a man, right, in today's society. Right now, there are some men that are, some outliers that do have great jobs, that were smart in school and stayed down for 8 years and got to where they needed to be, right? And a lot of those men, right? I'll say it, a lot of those men are self-centered though, right? Now there are some that aren't, but there's a lot of men that are self-centered. So you just got to pick and choose what you want out of a marriage. Um uh Moving on though, Salakia, right, I want to go to verse 28. Right, verse 28, it says, so ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. This is why we're supposed to make sure our wives are fed, because we want to be fed. We're supposed to make sure they have clothes because we want clothes, right? We want lights on in the house, right? So just like you expect your woman to keep the lights on in the house, if you have the means to keep the lights on in the house, by all means, you do it too, right? And this is an expectation that women you should have of your man as well, that he loves you as he loves himself, meaning he's forgiving because he's gonna forgive himself if he messes up. He's gonna be patient with himself. He's not gonna hurt himself. He's not going to cause himself to go broke, right? These things you can expect that he treats you just like he'll treat himself, right? These are proper expectations to have in a marriage, not based off of the world, right? Let me get this real quick. Right? Almost done here. Almost done. Where's it at? Oh, I might be already there. Where is it at? Oh, there it is. I'm gonna go to Ecclesiasticus 25:1. Right? Because at the end of the day, wait, do I want that one yet? Slovakia. No, I don't want that one yet. We're gonna go to Sirach chapter 4 and 30. Sirach chapter 4 and 30. It says, for men, it says, be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants. Right? Your woman, because you're a lord over her, or as Genesis says, you rule over her. Guess what? That makes her a servant in your house, right? The church is a servant unto Christ, right? We serve one master, right? Be not as a lion in the house, nor frantic among thy servants. This is a good expectation for women to have, that your man is not a lion in the house, meaning he's not a dictator, right? That he has compassion, empathy, sympathy, patience, long suffering, kindness, goodness, right? The list goes on.
Not
Right?
only that, man. When you look at the lion, right, in the wild, you might watch the
Oh,
Discovery Channel.
we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that in a second. Keep that comparison. It's like it. But yeah, men, don't be lions in the house. Don't and if you need something done, men, women, take note that a man should not demand things from you, but he should, if he wants something done, he'll ask in a way to where he can get his point across, and that you will understand that he needs it done. Right? So don't be a lion and roar in your house, right? That's what it means. Don't just be trying to scare everything in your house into submission. That's not what we're here for, right? But Khan, you can bring out your lion example now.
But Con, man, like the brother said, man, you don't want to, always seem like you're roaring at everybody in your house, man. Always seem like you're always yelling. You guys seen those movies and those TV shows where the man is always yelling and getting ticked off, right? Not only that, if you ever seen, just like National Geographic videos of lions, man, they constantly look like they're irritated. When the cubs come around, right, they kind of walking away from the cubs, pushing them away. When the women, get to acting up, they kind of rise up and, get a little attitude. Hey, man, I'm trying to sleep type of vibe. Don't walk around like that, right? Don't walk around. The only time they see communication from you is when you yelling at them, right? And you feel it. You always seem like you don't want to be bothered, right? You just don't have a pleasant attitude about you and stuff like that. And again, this is towards the men. I know this series is supposed to be catered towards the women, so we'll kind of move along.
But Khan, man, that's what you can expect, though. As a woman, you can expect to have a man that's not going to be a lion in the house like that, right? But as expectations go, just look at lionesses, man. Like we went over this yesterday or last night. Just look at their expectations. They have none, right? They just get it done, right? They go out. If they go on if the pride's going hungry, they take on the task of getting the food, right? If the cubs need to be taught how to search for their prey and how to attack, guess what? They'll teach them that too.
They always got an account of where their cubs are at too. They're always vigilant, always looking around, making sure their cubs are safe, right?
Right. So keep that in mind too. Also, Christ and the church, right? Think about how you would treat Christ if he was right before your face. Are you going to expect him, oh, Christ, you need to do X, Y, and Z? Are you going to be telling Christ that? Are you going to expect him to have the whole weight, right? No, you're not. You know why? Because the disciples didn't, right? When Christ said, hey, I desire to have Passover with you guys, do you think Christ set that table? No. His disciples set the table, right? His disciples kind of waited on him hand and foot. That woman came and washed his feet with her hair, right? The church was catering to Christ, right? So keep that in mind. How would you handle Christ and treat your marriage like that, right? You would be waiting on Christ hand and foot, right? A lot of times we say wait on the Lord. My dad always says, that wait, it has is a double meaning. Yeah, you could take your time and wait and be patient, but also you can be a waiter or a waitress and wait hand and foot on the Lord, right? And that's what you should be doing in your marriage, right? Whatever you can do to help your marriage, not somebody else's marriage, but your marriage out, that's your expectation, right?
You're the assistant coach, man. Like I said, you're the assistant coach. When you see those assistant coaches, man, and they're sitting on they're at the game, right? And the head coach is getting frustrated. Those assistant coaches is looking, frantic as I don't know what. Head always going to the side. They're checking on the players. They're telling the coach, hey, number what's name got X, Y, and Z going on, blah, blah, blah. Or we should put this in a third. Whenever the coach has a problem or he has a question, he looks down, hey man, somebody give me some. And you see the assistant coach, rushing to do to get it done and get it back to him, stuff like that, right? Not only that, man, the assistant coach, man, is there to help the program, right? Just like you're there to help the relationship, right? So a lot of times us playing basketball, even in college, right? A lot of times our blood, sweat, and tears were with the assistant coach, and the head coach was nowhere to be found, right? The assistant coach is waking up early in the morning for us, with us to go to do the preseason workouts, right? Where the head coach is probably asleep. You know what I'm saying? The assistant coach, a lot is required of the assistant coach, right? But their job is literally to help out the head coach. And guess who gets all the notoriety? The head coach does. We know this stuff is going to happen, right? But that's
Right.
a part of being shamefaced and being okay with having discretion about yourself and having the pride inwardly, knowing that you selfly feel fulfilled, that you're doing your job, and that the Most High sees you. It doesn't matter if anybody else sees what you got going on. The Most High sees you, and you got a sense of self-fulfillment. But that also hones in on you having a level of security, right? You can't be an insecure wife.
Right. And so that brings me to the end, right? And the closing is, hey, teamwork makes the dream work, man. When you get into a relationship, think of it as a team. Don't go into it with the wrong expectations, right? So I'll read this last verse and we'll close out. Ecclesiasticus 25:1, or Sirach 25:1. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful before God and men: the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, last but not least, a man and wife that agree together. So when you get your husband, when you get your wife, the only expectation you should have is that you guys will come together and you guys will agree on something, on everything, right? And on how your house should be ran, and that is the expectations you should have for your spouse, right? So with that, I'm Brother Azrael. If you're not gathering, you're scattering. So we pray that this was edifying. We pray that wisdom went out. And Khan,
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.